Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to Real Inspection Services. This is your host, Chuck Ryan, here to discuss all things regarding your home and the home inspection industry. Hi, this is Chuck Ryan. Welcome back to Real Inspection Services podcast. Last week we talked about older homes, what to look for when you put an offer into an older home, or actually when you're going out looking at properties that fall into the older category range. So this week we're going to talk about new construction inspections. And new construction inspections are going to be a little bit different. Same things do apply with looking at the outside of the home, the condition of it. Even though it's a new construction home, there can be flaws with that. But the first thing you need to be aware of is when you're working with your agent, if the home is not completely finished, or you're buying, let's say, a home that's a spec home, or a home that is going to be constructed from the ground up. The contractor is there, you're walking around, you're discussing your options with the contractor. The first thing you need to be aware of is obviously get information on the contractor. Look and see about the other projects that they have completed in the area that you're looking. That's one of the key things. Also look and see if there has been any complaints with the contractor. One of the complaints that we typically see with new construction is when the home is completed, there's typically what they call a punch list. The contractor has 30 to typically 45 days that they can complete these punch list items. So you have to read what the agreement is with the contractor to get those items completed. Then you do have a year warranty that comes with the homes, and I'll go into that a little bit later. First key thing is to check what the contractor's credibilities are, look at any other projects that they have completed, and again, just do your due diligence on that contractor. So once you've found that home, you've put an offer down, there's a couple of things that, again, you need to look at. One of the things that you should look at is how much of the home is completed. The home might be in its raw stages where the rough and plumbing, the electrical, you're looking at kind of the bare walls inside the home. So what you can do is have what we call a pre-drywall inspection. And a pre-drywall inspection is basically, just as sounds, it's before the drywall goes up. So you're looking at the skeletal and the framing section of the home. You're looking at structure of the wall studs, the roughed-in plumbing, the electrical, and that's something that a home inspector will help navigate you through that to make sure that things are not out of the ordinary, to make sure that, for instance, there are nail guards where there should be nail guards. And just real simple, a nail guard is a piece of metal that protects plumbing and electrical, where there's an opening to where the drywall will go up. That nail guard will prevent a screw from penetrating the stud and potentially puncturing the plumbing and or the conduit. So those are important. And those are things that the inspector would be able to identify where they should be and if they're missing. The other thing is just as the inspector is going through, is looking for any abnormalities with the framing to make sure that there's no cracked joists, studs, referring to wall studs, looking at the overall structure of the roof framing. If it's a truss framing, to make sure that the trusses aren't damaged. Trusses are engineered framing sections of a roof, and those are engineered designs. So if there's any alteration with the roof truss, the inspector would be able to identify that and call that out. So again, pre-drywall inspection is before the drywall goes up. It's just ensuring that everything is on par and to make sure that there's no abnormalities there, again, before the drywall goes up. And before the drywall goes up, you're going to want to find out the type of insulation that they're going to be using before the drywall goes up. So that's the other key thing. as well as in the attic and then throughout the home. So you've done your due diligence, you've had a pre-drywall inspection. The next step is to make sure that when the completion of all the mechanicals are going to be installed, everything is going to be completely finished. I can't tell you how many times we've gone out to new construction homes for the inspection and the kitchen isn't completed, or toilets are missing in the bathroom, or the water heater isn't installed yet, or the heat source isn't installed yet. They're expecting us to complete an inspection, and these are important components inside your home that need to be finished. That is what you're paying us for. You're paying us for our assessment. Have the things been completed in a workmanlike manner? Are the things installed operating as designed? Those are key things for a new construction inspection. And the problem is if those things are not completed, we will have to come back out to the property to, again, look at these items that are missing or not installed. And that's another cost that can be added on top of your inspection cost. So what we always prepare people to do when they're looking at a new construction home, we want that home to be at least 100% complete. We know that there's probably going to be some little oddities here where trim's missing or paint needs to be finished. There could be maybe a range hood that might be missing. If it's just one or two minor items like that, those are things that we can address on the inspection. And again, we can come back and look at those items. But those are small items. We're looking at things to be 100% complete on a new construction. And again, I can't tell you how many times we've gone out there where the builder has contacted the agent saying, yes, we're finished, and there's things that are not completed. So it's frustrating for us, but it could be more frustrating for you because you're going there under the notion to look at your home that is supposed to be 100% complete. Okay, so just remember, on a new construction, if the home is in its raw stages, meaning that the drywall isn't up, you do have that right to ask for, again, it's called a pre-drywall inspection. Now we can move into getting the home inspected. One of the notes here that you should ask for, again, and I may have mentioned it earlier, is just make sure you understand the builder's agreement with you, what the terms are. Do you have a year warranty? And again, the year warranty, you need to go through that with your real estate agent and especially with your attorney to make sure you understand what the wording is in the builder's agreement for the year warranty. And oh, by the way, that year warranty, you can hire us to come out to do an inspection before your year warranty expires. What we always suggest for our clients to do is to do it 3 months prior to the expiration of your warranty. So just a side note and something to keep in mind. Okay, so we're out there. We're there for the inspection. The house is completed. What are the things to look for? Well, one of the key things to look for is the outside grading or landscaping around the home. Has that been completed? Sometimes that's the last thing to be finished. And one of the things that you need to be aware of is if the landscaping isn't done, your sod or your lawn hasn't been installed, and you're looking at dirt, earth around the home, we need to find out when that's going to be completed. And especially it depends on the time of the year too. So that's one thing to look for. That's key because when they backfill around the home, the soil should be well compacted, and you want to make sure that there's no construction debris kind of tilled or rolled into the dirt. And when I mean construction debris, I mean pieces of 2x4s or styrofoam cups from different coffee places, bottles, cans, anything of that nature that can have an effect. And you want to make sure that the soil has been overturned properly, compacted, and it's ready for that landscaping to go in. So those are some things you need to look for. You're walking around the house, same thing applies. You just want to make sure that the siding is in good shape, caulking is where it needs to be, and these are all things that the home inspector is going to be able to identify and point out. And again, those are key things for a home that is completed. Obviously, the items are new, so even if there's some damage to the siding, it's okay for those things to be pointed out and to be addressed for the builder to repair those items if they get damaged during the construction process. So you've made it around the outside of the home. Everything looks good, maybe a few minor items here and there. And now let's start on the inside. And we typically, again, same concept applies. We start from top and we make our way down to the basement. So as you're looking inside the home, we're looking at the way that the finishes of the home have been completed. We will call out any type of drywall damage. Those things can be cosmetic in nature. Remember, you're buying new, so it's okay to identify those items. One thing that we do suggest people to bring is a roll of painter's tape, and you can use that to mark those items, and those items could be, again, a scratch in the floor, paint missing, a chip in the wall, etc. And we will document those items for you. We do, by the way, carry blue painter's tape in case you forget to show up with it. But again, it's always a good idea to have your chance to walk around and to mark those items. Okay, so you've identified a few items. Again, when we're inside the home, we will operate all the plumbing fixtures inside the home, no different than an older home. Everything is going to be observed the same way. So it's typical standard practice of us to go on, open up the fixtures in the bathroom, make sure that the plumbing is working, that there's no leaks. Sometimes we have found where underneath the bathroom cabinet, maybe the trap wasn't completely tightened, and the trap is where the water goes through a drain underneath your sink. Those things do happen, and sometimes those items do get overlooked, but that's what we're there for, to catch those leaks and to make sure that they're repaired. So again, another reason it's important to get a home inspection for a new construction home. Even though it comes with the warranty, these are just some of the things that we have found over the years, and they're plumbing leaks. And a small plumbing leak can turn into a major problem. The other thing that we would suggest, and sometimes we do get pushback from builders on this, is to do a sewer scope. Sewer scopes are important, and I'm going to give you a couple examples why they're important for new construction. We have seen over the years in a new construction home where we've done a sewer scope where construction debris inadvertently gets somehow inside the sewer line. We've seen pieces of wood. We've seen sections of brick, mortar. Those things will cause an obstruction in the sewer line, and if it's not removed, that can cause a backup. We've also have seen where the connection of the sewer line that goes into the wall foundation, outside that wall foundation there, we've seen the area where the pipe has been offset. And an offset is simple. Where the two pipes get joined together, what can happen is as they're compacting the land back over that area there, they may have not protected the area around the pipe. They may have not supported it properly. So as the landscaping is getting compacted down, the pressure of the earth, if it's not properly supported around the pipe, can cause that pipe to become offset from the other pipe. And that's a huge problem because now they have to dig that up and repair it. We've seen it where it's been under a freshly poured concrete sidewalk where we've located it. We've located it maybe out to right before the municipal sewer line. We've seen it as close as being offset right where the pipe goes out to the opposite side of the wall foundation. it is very important to get your sewer line scoped in a new construction home. I can't say that more than I think I have, so I highly push for that. You will get some pushback probably from the builder on it, but be advised based upon my experience and what we have seen. Okay, so I think I've given you good information on why it's important to get a sewer scope. So the next thing is obviously we will make our way through the home. We do operate the kitchen appliances. We make sure that they're functioning and working as they are designed and intended. So that's important. Even though it's new, we still will operate those. The other thing that we'll look at, obviously, too, is with the home are your mechanicals. Sometimes you'll have a forced air heating and cooling system, and then you may have a hydronic system that supplies heat in the basement. And simply, hydronic means it's a boiler system that they may have installed the piping inside the basement floor to provide heat as well at the lower level. So you have kind of a dual heat system where you have forced air heat from the top, and then you have the boiler heat that provides heat from the bottom in the floor. So we will operate those and make sure that they are functioning. And then the other thing we'll move over to is to look at your electrical. We do remove the cover panel to make sure that the circuit breakers are in good shape. Sometimes what can happen with circuit breakers is when they're painting the basement or the walls around where the electrical panel box is, they may not or forget to protect the circuit breakers. And what we've seen is overspray of paint getting on the breakers or inside the guts or your electrical panel box. And that's not a good thing. Circuit breakers and your interior components of your electrical panel box should have no foreign material on the surface, especially paint on the circuit breakers, because it can render the circuit breakers not to function if they need to. So we will call that out and identify that. We do see that quite often, where the paint is on the surface of the circuit breakers or it's inside the electrical panel box. So that is not a good thing. And again, that's one of the various important reasons to get a new inspection, because we've done home inspections where the home might be 5 or 6 years old and it's being sold to a second owner. And one of the things that we'll see is that, guess what? Whether it was identified on that inspection or not, we will see that those breakers have been painted or they'll have overspray on the surface and inside the electrical box. And that's just not a good thing to see. So we would identify that. The other thing is to, again, make sure that there is no seepage in the basement. Once the drywall goes up, it's kind of hard to see if there's any cracks in the foundation. So we have seen it where we've gone into a finished basement area, there's carpeting down there, and as we're walking around, we do have several pieces of equipment that we'll use, thermal cameras as well as moisture meters, and we have walked into basements where the carpeting is soaking wet. We've stepped on it, and because we wear protective boot coverings to make sure that the carpeting doesn't get dirty, the thermal imaging can pick up a cold spot from where water may have come in. And then, of course, we do use a moisture meter to kind of validate that that is a leak. So again, these are some of the things that can get overlooked if you don't have a home inspection for a new construction home. And again, I just want to have a side note here is don't let anybody ever talk you out of doing a new construction inspection. It is your right to have that completed, whether it's at a pre-drywall stage or a completion stage. You do have the right to ask for those types of inspection. And I think I've provided enough information in here so far that can validate the importance of getting a new construction inspection. So after you've done everything, looking at the exterior of the home, looking at the landscaping, the siding, you've made your way inside, you've looked at the areas inside the home, made your way into the kitchen, the appliances worked, into the basement, and you've completed your basic due diligence of a new construction inspection. There will be items that come up on the inspection. So you just need to prepare yourself for that. It doesn't mean that the home was poorly constructed. These are things to set that expectation beforehand. Again, most of those items are things that can be fixed. I gave you several important reasons to get a home inspection. That's not to say that all home inspections on new constructions have foundation issues, have plumbing issues, have sewer issues. It's to protect you. It's buyer beware, and it's the best thing that you can do for your money that's being well spent to do your due diligence to get a new construction home inspection. Hey, I look forward to speaking with you guys next week when we discuss the importance of getting a condo inspection and a townhome inspection. And remember, it's better to be proactive than reactive. Thank you again for tuning in to Real Inspection Services Podcast. If you have any questions regarding your home or our services, please reach out to us at realinspectionservices.com. If you would like us to answer any of your questions on the podcast, send us a DM on Instagram at Real Inspection Services. All info is down below in the show notes.